right here on cue, Diane Wanja, my fellow convener of different things at TCON 2022 and an IPP of Early Bird Toastmasters. And here I am as a fellow IPP. I had forgotten that I'm still serving as an immediate past president of my club, Current Toastmasters. I am delighted to be on this platform to interview the amazing Ethiopis Tadesse all the way from Addis. And I just want to check, how many people do we have from Addis logged in this evening? Just put a thumbs up or type dialed in from Addis, just to see the stats. And as we wait for the guys from Addis, we can also have people from Kampala. Type in the chat. We can also have people from Kenya, from Tanzania, from Burundi, from across the globe. Type in what city you're dialing in from as we get to know Ethiopis a little bit more. Toastmaster Ethiopis Tadesse, kindly unmute and just greet us and tell us a little bit about yourself. You know, what do you do? How long have you been a Toastmaster? And a few little nuggets so we can get to know you better. Over to you, Ethiopis.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much to our fellow co-hosts for this evening, for starting us off with such great energy. I think I'm going to be asked many questions. I think we have people equally as eager as me to talk, but we'll try to unmute. Yeah, mute when you're not talking. Thank you, everyone. Good evening. As mentioned, my name is Ethiopis Tadesse, and I think you're going to get to know me a bit better through some of the questions that I'm going to be asked, and I will try to answer with as much humility as I possibly can. I'm saying that for a reason. I'll explain later. I am a communication consultant. I have been a Toastmaster for 7 years now. I joined Toastmasters when I was 21, still a fresh university student, and it has been hands down one of the most exciting journeys of my life. The impact that Toastmasters has had on my life has been the biggest of any club, any organization, any place that I have ever experienced in my life. So I'm always humbled to be invited on this kind of platform where I can share my experience. As mentioned earlier, I said I'm a communication consultant working in the development sector, but more than that, I do so much more. And I hope I can share that with you. I train youth. I provide consultancy work based on my expertise to a lot of people here in Ethiopia. And I'm a part of many organizations. So I'm a member of Toastmasters, I'm a member of Rotary, I'm a member of Global Shapers, I'm a member of many youth organizations. I'm very, very active. I'm also a member of YALI, and hopefully we'll talk a bit more about that later. But back to you, Aretha.
Thank you. Toastmaster Ethiopis, we are glad to know you. We are glad to know about the different things that you're a part of. And the one that sparks interest right away is YALI. Please tell us a little bit about YALI. And I want to see, am I still in the right age bracket to join that? And what do I need to do? Over to you, Ethiopis.
Right. Okay, so you know how they say you shouldn't ask a woman her age, Aretha? So you're making me ask you your age, but I'm just gonna tell you what the age bracket is for the program, and then you can decide for yourself. So the age bracket for the Young African Leaders Initiative program, we say YALI, we call it YALI. It's between 18 to 35. So I'm just gonna pause here, give you a wink, and then you can tell us if you want to participate in that. So the Young African Leaders Initiative is started and led by the US government, and the whole initiative is about encouraging young African leaders who are making a change within their community. And so there is a regional program that takes place in Kenya, and then there is another Mandela Washington Fellowship program which takes place in the US. So they select young African leaders from their community. You go through this rigorous application process. You submit or you fill the application process telling them about your leadership experience. What have you done to impact your community in a positive way? What innovative things have you implemented within your community that has brought about change? And after you show them what kind of impact you have brought, they will give you the opportunity to undergo this excellent and very rigorous leadership program, after which they hope that you will come back to your community and scale up the impact that you have started. So I had attended the regional program, which was in Kenya back in 2016. And back then I was still a university graduate. So you can imagine how exciting it is for a fresh university graduate to be afforded this kind of opportunity. And one thing I'm going to tell you is that you think you're doing great up until you're surrounded by the best leaders that the East African community has to offer. And then you find yourself quite humbled and you wonder, like, yes, I'm doing this, but there's so many people who are doing so much more than I am. I was humbled, but at the same time, really, really inspired by, I don't know how many people in here, how many Kenyans we have in here. Generally, I really, really appreciate Kenyan work ethic, Kenyan drive, Kenyan competitive nature. And it's not something that like Ethiopians are known for. So that was my first time being exposed to like the East African culture of being very competitive, go-getting and all that stuff. It was a really eye-opening experience for me. And then now I have been selected for the Mandela Washington Fellowship, which is taking place in the US. So I'm going to be going there in a couple of weeks. I cannot tell you how excited now and how humbled I am by that opportunity. And I can't wait to maybe be afforded an opportunity to share my experiences from that journey as well. So around 36 Ethiopians are going, and then in total, around 600 African leaders are going from the whole of Africa, from different countries. So woo-hoo to African leaders from across the continent. So can I just take this opportunity to perhaps encourage people to apply to the YALI program? Currently, the Young African Leaders Initiative regional program, East Africa program, they're accepting applications. And the application due date is May 30th, if I'm not mistaken. So whoever is interested in applying, please use this opportunity. It is a life-changing experience, really.
That is definitely amazing. And Ethiopis, I will task you to type it out later. How, you know, chat, because maybe we don't get the spelling correctly. I'm definitely inspired and amazed by that program that you joined, Ethiopis. I'm inspired by you and the leadership growth that you've experienced. I'm amazed that we are on the platform where leaders are made. Toastmasters in East Africa. What is stopping you from being the next leader at your club? What is stopping you from applying to become area director or division director like Ethiopis did? And what is stopping you from applying to become a young African leader? What is stopping you from joining TCON this coming Friday? I'm not sure what's stopping you, but Diane Wanja can take it up from here and lead us to the next question.
Thank you, Aretha, my wonderful co-host. And thank you, Ethiopis. That was amazing. Actually, my mind was blown away because, of course, I was calculating your age. You said you've been a Toastmasters for 7 years. But anyway, let's not talk about your age right now. Aretha, you can possibly apply. I can't, discourage you from applying based on age. However, now, let's come to the point where you said you think you're doing great, you think you're great, until you get into a platform where there are other great people and you realize, oh my gosh, you know nothing. I want to know what your first Toastmaster experience was, because when people look at you, I think they will immediately think, and I personally am thinking, she's been great from the word go. She doesn't look like the type that was ever shy or timid or anything. And that's the first thing anybody that is looking at you right now would possibly think. So I want to hear about your first experience as a Toastmaster, what your thought process was, and what your growth was like. What motivated you to go from one step to the next? And let me just ask another question, because they're very related. How that pushed you to greatness and to where you are right now through Toastmasters.
All right. Since I've been afforded this opportunity to speak on this platform, and we're telling people to make boss moves. And I think we need to define boss moves a bit different sometimes. For me, as a 21-year-old university student at the time. Yes, I do have a bubbly nature. I'm not gonna lie. I've never been introverted. I've been more extroverted in nature, but I did not have a very good high school experience in that. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm a bit physically smaller than the normal individual. And because of that, I was picked on a bit more than I would have liked. And I don't think I was given the right platform to speak my mind. I never really felt like people wanted to hear what I wanted to say. I think that was the foundation of it. And one thing that really kept me back, because I felt like whenever I was on a platform, that people would find reasons not to listen to me, not to pay attention, or to make fun of the things that I used to say, and that I used to think. And so for the longest time, I had developed this crippling anxiety and this crippling insecurity that people do not want to hear what you want to say, right? So people do not want to hear your stories. People do not want to hear your thoughts. And for me, making the boss move was making the assumption that, in fact, I do have stories to tell. I am an interesting person. My stories are useful to people and they do want to hear what I have to say. And I think the first genuine platform that I had encountered was Toastmasters. There are many ways that I can describe what a Toastmaster platform is, but for me, it was a group of kind individuals who were there to listen to what I had to say, who were there with no preconceived conception of who I am, what kind of stories I do or do not have to speak. Such open-minded, kind-hearted, and supportive individuals. And for me, making the boss move was showing up, overcoming that voice in my head that was still telling me, do they really want to hear what you have to say? Is it really interesting? Are you taking the opportunity of another person who could be talking and probably that person's story is more interesting than yours? So for me, the first boss move that I made in Toastmasters was just being able to show up and tell my story and believe that people wanted to hear it. And I remember I prepared for my icebreaker speech for 3 months. 3 months. I knew the speech backwards, inside out. You could ask me to recite it backwards and I could tell you my timing was perfect. I practiced it, like I wrote it out, obviously, like each and every sentence, and I restructured it. I recorded myself voice only. I recorded myself video. I did it. I practiced in front of the mirror. I'm pointing to a mirror right now. I did everything. I practiced in front of my sister, my family. I could not have done more preparation for that speech, right? 3 months for a 5 to 7 minute speech, right? Back in the competent communicator days. And I remember delivering it and it went well. Of course it's gonna go well. I practiced for 3 months, right? What could go wrong? But I remember being so emotionally overwhelmed by the experience that after I delivered that speech and after it went well, my evaluator gave me really good feedback. I went into the bathroom, into the restroom after, and I cried because I really didn't expect it to go that way. Everything that I actually hoped would happen did happen, and that even overwhelmed me. Toastmasters, the attention that they gave me overwhelmed me. The fact that they were listening, that overwhelmed me. The fact that they were so responsive and so kind, it really, really overwhelmed me in a very beautiful way. And ever since, I've just been like, I love Toastmasters. I don't know how to, I love it so much. And every time I tell people, I get so emotional, but it felt like home. I felt like, where was this place all along? And then after that, I started with my first EXCO role as the Sergeant at Arms. And then I served as the Vice President of Education, and then as the President and Area Director, and then Division Director, and then DTM. And now I'm a mentor, coach, and sponsor. So my journey has just been upwards and onwards. I've invested so much in Toastmasters, but it's nothing compared to how much I have received as an individual. And it's just something that I love. So I hope I'm answering, Diane, your questions. Maybe if I'm missing something, you can guide me and I can add on to it.
No, you haven't missed anything. Thank you for that. Yes, you did answer my question. And I think what I took home is how true the mission of Toastmasters is. The mission of Toastmasters says we provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. I think that is very, very true for you, Ethiopis, because you told us you had insecurities. I think we all, when we're joining Toastmasters, and even after joining, we live with insecurities. And yours was that you're a bit small-bodied and you felt people were not really interested in what you had to say, and took you 3 months to prepare for a speech because of the insecurities you had. But look at you now. So it's been growing from strength to strength. And I think the other take home for me was that you gave of yourself in service to the club. You started by being an SA, you moved to VPE, you moved to president, area director, division director. And in all that, you gained a DTM certification. So all this is because you gave yourself to the service of your club and beyond. So well done. And I'm really looking forward to knowing you a bit more. Back to you, my co-host, Aretha Wanjiro.
To me in studio, Ethiopis. I had Diane mention, and I believe we've called you DTM over and over. I want to be a DTM by the end of this year. And I would want for you, Ethiopis, to tell this audience, what does it mean to be DTM? I know there was an acronym by our former, district director, Do the Most.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us about the DTM, and let me see if I am on track. Please help me. Over to you, Ethiopis.
All right. Thank you, Aretha. So definitely, I love the do the most, because to become a distinguished Toastmaster, you are required to do the most at some point. But I want to take a different angle to this, because when I completed my final project on my journey to becoming a distinguished Toastmaster, my evaluator was another distinguished Toastmaster in Ethiopia, who you should all know about, Magdala Mukra. Hands in the air, whoever knows, everybody should know about. Yes, woohoo! So Distinguished Toastmaster Magdala Mukra had been my mentor for my majority of my Toastmaster journey. And luckily, he was my evaluator for my final project. After you complete your project, you deliver a speech about the journey and your accomplishment, and then you get evaluated on it. And he evaluated me. And one thing he had noticed about my speech, and one thing that was a really big takeaway for me in my in my DTM journey, was that I was really focusing too much on the title. Don't lose sight of what it really means to become a distinguished Toastmaster. It's really in the journey. There's really no better way to put it. It's everything that you're supposed to learn, all the skills, all the expertise, all the troubles, the service, as Diane mentioned, that you go through, all the speeches that you deliver, all the feedback that you get. That is what it means to become finally a DTM. And at some point, I remember I had really lost sight of that. And I wanted to earn the title because we were shifting from the previous education program to the Pathways program, right? And somehow a lot of people had to race a bit to DTM. And I felt like at the end, I was also racing to DTM. And I had lost sight of what it actually means to earn that title. And what it meant for me is that the title indicates or is a reflection of the journey that you have been on so far. And hopefully what that journey will have included is multiple speeches in which you have really shared who you are with your fellow Toastmasters, have really been, I've been so vulnerable on stage. I've cried on many speeches. I know that might not surprise you. My Jupiter Toastmaster members will know this about me. I get really emotional with my speeches. I get really vulnerable with my speeches, and it's not something I regret. I actually really, really love that. I've shared my failures, I've shared my successes through my speeches. I've also evaluated. Being an evaluator, there is like heavy responsibility that comes with that. Public speaking is the *1 fear in the world. And a person is coming in front of you and overcoming the #1 fear in the world. And you have that responsibility to give them a constructive yet supportive evaluation that will help them continue on this journey to overcoming that fear, right? So delivering evaluations. I had the opportunity to deliver evaluations, not just here in Addis. I'm going to say, I know people don't say this, but thanks to COVID, you know, for people in Uganda and Kenya and Rwanda, I was so fortunate to have been given that opportunity. So we have the speeches, we have the evaluations, and then of course we have the leadership roles, right? Leadership roles, the title is fancy, right? It's really beautiful, but behind it, the responsibility is almost daunting, really. I don't think people really acknowledge, or I don't think we give proper credit to our Toastmaster leaders within the district, division, area, or even club level. There's so much responsibility behind it. And then it's, as you said, it's service. And actually Rotary, you know, the Rotary tagline is service above self. And I believe that even here in Toastmasters, when you're serving the club, the area, the division, the district, you're doing service above self, really, because there's a lot of time and effort that goes into running those roles and making sure you're doing it well. So it's after taking on many different leadership roles, and then also the mentorship. And I really don't want to forget about this, because here in Ethiopia, and I don't know if you've noticed, Toastmasters, many Toastmasters are quite young, below 30 or even below 25, the age of 25. We have a very young Toastmaster community here in Ethiopia. So that gives older, or let's say more experienced Toastmasters the opportunity to mentor young Toastmasters who are just coming into this, wanting to develop their communication and public speaking skills. So it's both a responsibility as well as a really delightful experience as well. And so what it means to be a DTM. The DTM title is beautiful. It's wonderful. It's not what it's about, though. It's not. It's really the journey. It's the speeches. It's the evaluations. It's the leadership roles and service. And it's the ability to mentor, to coach, to be of help to others. That's what your eye should be on. And that's what you really should be giving your effort to. And then once you've completed all of those things and you earn the title of a DTM, you know, it feels good because you know you did, and you got the most of what that DTM journey has to offer. Yeah, so guys, don't chase the title. Title is nice though, I'm not gonna lie. You know, you update your LinkedIn profile. Now it's DTM. For people who perhaps don't have other titles professionally, this is quite a nice thing to add. Even being introduced on any platform as a DTM, of course, there's great honor. But just know that behind that honor is a lot. There's a lot that goes into it. And the value is in that more than the title.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Ethiopis. That is amazing information that I can take home. And I believe for the rest of the 88 participants, I believe they've taken notes. DTM is not about the title. It is really about the journey, the speeches, the emotions that you evoke as you're speaking, the service when you serve in your club, and then you serve in your area, and you serve as a club sponsor, mentor, or coach. It is about the evaluations. It is about becoming the best version of yourself. It may be the DTM title, or it may be the next leader in your, maybe the next boss in your organization. You could be the next boss at a wedding where you will speak up and say something, and then you will get that promotion because a boss will be listening to you there. Now, I want to hand this over to my co-host, Diane Wanja, because we really need to talk about TCON. Why are our backgrounds looking similar, the ones who are spotlighted at least? And why are the rest of the people not having their cameras on to have these amazing, amazing backgrounds. If you need a background set up, please talk to the SAA. He will post them right on the chat. Over to you, Toastmaster Diane, who happens to be our assistant conference convener where TCON marketing is concerned. Whatever poster you've seen about TCON, whatever background, whatever video, anything that relates to TCON in terms of PR, she is the one, and I know she will not blow her horn. So allow me to just hand it back over to our PR marketing, Diane Wanja.
Wow, after that TCON CV, it's very difficult to get out of my head and come back here. But thank you for the nuggets, Ethiopis. That was amazing. Now, I want to ask this question in a slightly different way. It is related to TCON and it is related to your professional life as well. Because at Toastmasters, most of us came to Toastmasters to get value that we can use out there, not just inside Toastmasters. So we've talked a lot about how it helps to take on roles, to give of yourself, to give service above self. And that is so real. In this PR and marketing desk for TCON, I tell you, and Stephen Miner there, the convener, Aretha Wanjiro in charge of the TCON dinners, I can tell you it is service above self because yes, it's a lot of work. But I can say it's been such a pleasure. And so back to TCON, I want to know how the value you have gained at Toastmasters has helped you in your professional life, and how TCON, the experience of TCON, people coming to the TCON virtual conference to start with, how will that benefit us even in our professional lives, in our personal lives? What value, because you have attended previous conferences, and so what value have you gained from the previous conferences, and how do you think TCON will help in your personal and professional life by attending it?
All right, thank you, Diane. It is quite a shame that we don't have the opportunity to meet because, as I mentioned earlier, it's not just in my club that I feel that Toastmasters is home. When we extend it to the East African community, Toastmasters is family. So whenever we had the opportunity to hold the district conferences and it was in person, I remember, we used to miss each other, and getting that opportunity to link up again was always so amazing. But we cannot go, we have to acknowledge all the effort that it takes to conduct such a significant district conference online, right? But the team does it so well. It's something that, can we just even appreciate that there is a session before the session, and then there's a session before that, and then there's just so much going on. And I don't think we appreciate how much effort it goes into making sure everything starts on time, all of the contestants are ready and briefed. The speakers that are invited on this Toastmaster platform are speakers that you will probably never see in real life. And we get the opportunity to have them come speak to us exclusively. Didn't we have Vusi attend the division conference? It was our division conference, actually. Vusi's an amazing speaker. He's an African leader. He's the kind of person you never think you're gonna see live. And somehow they bring that opportunity into your home. I don't think we realize how significant that is. And first of all, we have to appreciate the preparation that goes into that, all of the effort that goes into that. And then also we have to appreciate the opportunity. There's so much learning that happens on this platform. So the learnings that we take from, even we had, and you excuse me because I forgot her name, the winner of the international speech contest. What was her name? If somebody can remind me, of last year's Toastmaster International.
Caroline Gaduru?
No,
Verity Price.
Oh, okay. Verity Price was also one of our speakers. And she took us through the process of what it takes to become an international, a winner of an international speech contest. Firsthand, we got to ask her questions all the way from all over the world. So first of all, the speakers that are invited on these programs are amazing. And then the contestants. When you hear of the contestant's story, and especially for people who are guests always feel like, especially when they come to the district contests and conferences, they feel like these speakers were born amazing speakers. It's in their blood, it's in their nature, it's in their genetics. It's not. And you get to hear their experience, firsthand of experience of these speakers, all of the things that they had to overcome, all the fear that they had to overcome, all the speeches that they had to repeat, all the feedback that they had to accept, but was a bit difficult to swallow, all the practice that they did to make their speeches excellent, all the things that they had to do to get them to the point of the district conference, right? And then when we get to hear their journey, I don't know about you, but it also helps me visualize, oh, okay, so they also started from where I am right now. And it really helps you because we really think that journey or the destination is all that we see, as I said in the DTM example as well. But whenever the contestants come to us, they've passed through so much and they started somewhere. And usually it's somewhere where you are. So it actually gives the guests a perfect opportunity to show them that from wherever you are, you could get to the stage where now you are competing with the best of the best that the East African Toastmaster community has to offer, you know? And it's a healthy contest because we love each other, we respect each other, right? So we're very respectful and very encouraging. And then you get to hear amazing speeches, amazing evaluations, very humorous speeches. It's not easy to present a humorous or a well thought out and amazing speech within 5 to 7 minutes. It's limited, but they do it so well. They're so excellent. We're so excellent. I was saying they, like I'm not a Toastmaster. And then the last point I want to mention about TCON and it being online is a lot of people, I think one thing we hate about online sessions is that either it doesn't start on time or it doesn't go according to the time, the agenda. It doesn't end on time. People have trouble turning on their camera, audio. Can you hear me? Mute, unmute, please. None of that. In the TCON, zero tolerance for that. Do you know how much preparation the contestant, the judges, everybody goes through before the contest? So whenever you're even listening just as a guest on the TCON platform, there is none of those glitches, and it flows so smoothly because there's so much preparation behind it. There's Stephen in the back as an SAA. Is everything going according to plan? Is muted, unmuted? Everybody can. There's so much that goes behind it, so that when you see it, it's so excellent. It's done so well. And Toastmasters, I think one thing we're well known for is timekeeping. Right, we're very sharp on time. We get really anxious when we don't start on time or we're not going according to the agenda. So it's well worth your time as well. This TCON is not going to waste your time. It won't waste a minute of your day, not a minute. Everything is scheduled. So for all the reasons mentioned above, TCON is it's an opportunity not to miss. If you want to know about Toastmasters, if you want to know what it takes to become a great leader, a great communicator, what it means to overcome this fear that we all fear, what it means to be great. And if you want to spend your day very effectively, TCON is definitely the place to be. I don't think there's a better organized online conference that I've ever attended, really, genuine. And I really want to appreciate all of this year's facilitators as well. I'm sure it's going to be excellent as always.
Thank you. Thank you. No pressure to the organizers to ensure that we get the ultimate online experience, right, Aretha? Stephen Miner, yeah. Thank you so much. That's amazing. And yes, it is going to be excellent because of all the work that's behind the scene. I can't even begin to describe it. I think we should write a book about it. Yeah, so it's or a manual so that the next team can be able to have it, you know, a bit easier and know what to do. But yes, it is such a beautiful experience to serve at TCON from a service point of view. And the experience, I can't wait. I'm looking forward to Friday. You know, the way people say, I'm so scared about what might happen. Oh, you know, I'm getting anxiety attacks. I am waiting for Friday because I think that's where the fun begins. So I'm really, really looking forward to this. Now, Aretha is also working very, very heavily behind the scenes to ensure we have a great time beyond the virtual conference. So Aretha, please, over to you.
Now, it's good for bosses to come together. And I want to share this quote by Chinua Achebe in his book, Things Fall Apart. A man who calls his kinsmen to a feast does not do so to save them from starving. They all have food in their own homes. When we gather together in the moonlit village ground, it is not because of the moon. Every man can see it from his own compound. We come together because it is good for kinsmen to do so. Now, this message, of course, I want to give credit that it's been added to one of the TCON flyers by an amazing Toastmaster, Winfred, who is part of Diane's team, and you will be seeing that message circulating. We need to come together as kinsmen to sit, to have a meal, and to talk. We've missed one another. I mean, it's been 2 years since the district had a physical conference, and therefore, we do have dinners, TCON dinners happening across East Africa. The one in Nairobi is happening next Friday, the 3rd of June. The one for Uganda is happening on the 28th of May, which is the Saturday of TCON. We're still waiting for a date for Dar es Salaam, but I believe it's going to happen the 2nd weekend of June. And the one for Mombasa, we have a Mombasa edition also happening on the 3rd of June. Last but not least, we have the Ethiopian dinner happening on the 29th of this month, which will be an amazing, amazing culmination of the TCON virtual conference for Ethiopia. And I know, I love Ethiopian food. I mean, I was imagining if I was told to just land in Addis, I would hope for some injera, I would hope for great company and great music. Ethiopis, I know you'll be attending this dinner. Tell us a little bit about the planning. And I know there's an amazing team that is working very hard to make sure that this dinner happens. What are your thoughts on this dinner? Over to you, Ethiopis.
I want to share my TCON experience from, I think, 4 years. How long has it been since COVID? 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, when it happened in Uganda. Was that 4 years ago, I believe? Back in maybe perhaps
3 years ago. Yes.
Yes. As I mentioned, when Toastmasters come together, especially across East Africa, it's always a unique experience, because before we didn't know about online sessions before COVID. There was no such thing, especially here in Ethiopia. So the only time we would get to meet was perhaps through meetings, like official EXCO meetings or whatever. And then it's when we got together at the district level that we would actually get the opportunity to interact with the Toastmaster family. I'm going to share my most devastating is not a good word. I think my most disappointing Toastmaster experience, but there was a great learning from that I want to share with you. That year, when we traveled to Uganda, I went with 2 hats. Normally, Toastmasters, we do multiple things at the same time. I was the representative for the international speech contest, and also I was running for the division director role. And so I had put in my bid for the division director role, but it had not been decided upon yet because we had to wait for the conference. But I had prepared a speech for the international speech contest. And I think those people who were there in Kampala, Uganda might have remembered this experience. And so what happened is, before the international speech contest was the announcement of the incoming leadership role for the district. And so that they had announced that I had become the division director. Yay, like so exciting, right? Such amazing news. And then I was like, oh my God, that's so exciting. And then I had to relax and then practice my speech because I was still a contestant for the international speech contest. So here I am. And I remember, I think I was the third contestant, if I'm not mistaken. And while the second contestant was on stage, Harry, our, at the time, district director, comes rushing out of the hall. And then he finds me there walking around, and I was practicing my speech because I was so nervous. And then he had this like really, I don't even know how to describe it, but he was really a really shocked but really sad look on his face. And he tells me, Ethiopis, I don't know how to tell you this, but you cannot compete in the international speech contest. And then I was like, Harry, I don't have time for jokes. I'm literally on next. I don't have, and then he said, I don't know how to tell you this, and I know this doesn't make sense, but according to the rule books, and this was an oversight on my part and of the district leadership, as soon as I had become the nominee for division director, that immediately disqualified me from being a contestant for the international speech contest. And since it had overlapped and it was all happening at the same time, it was a complete oversight. And I remember the person who told us was like our regional director who had picked it up. So he's telling me that I cannot compete for the international speech contest, a speech that I had been practicing for, a speech that my mentor had been supporting me on, a speech that would have been representing Ethiopia on that stage as well. So you can imagine how disappointed I was. You can imagine how angry I was. And then Magdala came out of the hall and he was trying to calm me down and he was asking me, what do you want to do? And what we had decided with him at the time is, don't tell the audience. Don't tell them I've been disqualified. I've come here all the way from Ethiopia with the Ethiopia team who are so excited for me to be delivering the speech on this platform. Let me deliver my speech. I've practiced it, I've rehearsed it. You can disqualify me all you want. Let me deliver my speech. And then I had tears in my eyes. I remember I was really emotional, but I went onto the stage and I delivered that speech. And at the very end, since I was already disqualified, I went a bit over time and I told my Toastmaster family that unfortunately, because of some technicalities, I had been disqualified from the contest, but I told them that I came with a speech all the way from Ethiopia. I told them I'm not leaving before delivering the speech. And I got a standing ovation. And it's an experience I'll never forget. I felt so at the point where I felt really discouraged, as I mentioned, and really, really angry. My Toastmaster family embraced me and made me feel like, yes, it might be wrong. Yes, it wasn't, but it's okay. And this was great. And we appreciate, and I felt like the crowd like hugged me and it felt so encouraging. And this is what I'm saying about the Toastmaster family and the Toastmaster experience. So coming back to our gala dinner, when Toastmasters come together, it's support, it's love, it's friendship, it's family. I don't know how else to explain it. And because of COVID and because we haven't been able to meet face to face, we've missed a lot of that, a lot of it. It's been watered down through this online experience. But the gala dinner is in person. And we get to reconnect. We get to see each other once again. We get to hear speeches. We get to hear about our experiences over the past couple of years because we haven't seen each other for so long. We get to embrace one another and we get to experience really what it means to be a Toastmaster. So for all the Ethiopians on this call, please, I urge you to please come to the gala dinner. It's going to be fun. And it's going to be interesting. Come meet us. We're wonderful people. I promise you, we're welcoming. We'll tell you all about Toastmasters. It is a place you want to be. So do not miss this gala dinner. Do not. Sunday, the 29th, I think the venue is still being decided, but I'm sure they'll decide and then circulate that information very soon.
Very, very well. Thank you so much, Ethiopis, for sharing your amazing story, your amazing experience at the TCON conference, the live, should I say, the in-person conference in Kampala in 2019. I can only imagine you are about to get on stage, and judging from your previous, what you shared previously, you were ready. Thank you for actually, that was a boss move, Ethiopis, because you still went on stage and delivered your speech. And I'm just amazed. Well done to the team that, caught this in advance. And also well done, Gala and the team that came to support you from Ethiopia. We are really looking forward to the gala dinners across East Africa. As you heard it from Ethiopis, the dinner in Addis is on the 29th of May. It's a Sunday. Division Director Emilia Sibwingwa will be in Addis. And I don't know if I announced too soon, and I hope she's on this call. She could bite me. Emilia, we look forward to seeing pictures from Addis. I know somebody has said that I need to pass through Addis for that injera. Even if I don't come on the 29th, I will be in Addis soon, and I will be posting pictures. I want to encourage the Kenyan edition dinner. Stephen Miner, please post the M-Pesa details right here. We need to make sure that the people in Nairobi and in Kenya will come through for that dinner that is happening on the 3rd of June. It's a Friday. Kenyans, remember, 1st of June is a public holiday. So 2nd of June, you can work half day. I hope my boss is not on this call. And then 3rd of June, you can take the whole day off because you need to spruce up yourself for that amazing black tie event. And don't worry if you don't have a black tie, just dress and be ready to have fun. And I forgot to mention the Rwandese dinner is also happening, I believe on the 4th of June, which is a Saturday. All right, looking forward to meeting all of us in person at a city near you. Please support the teams that are planning behind the scenes so that these dinners do happen. Thank you so much, Ethiopis, for reminding us that coming together is really the essence of being a human. Behind this laptop, I mean, it feels really nice, but when we switch off when we leave this meeting, we will go and not have that feeling of having gotten a hug from Diane and a high five from Dan Odero. We will not have that feeling. So make sure, whatever city you're at, make sure you attend that dinner that is being prepped. I believe that it is almost time. I want to hand this over to Diane Wanja for any concluding remarks. Diane?
Actually, I think I will hand this over to William Ochomo for the question period. Is that correct, William?
Yes. So there are no questions in the chats, but in case anyone in the audience has a question, you can just feel free to ask.
Anyone with a question for Madam Ethiopis Tadesse? Feel free to type it in the chat or raise your hand. Okay.
As we're waiting for questions, the Serena dinner, the pay bill is right there, the account number is right there. Feel free, even if you're in Uganda, feel free to make that pay bill. You never know, you could win a ticket to come to Nairobi. Anyway, the Ugandan edition is happening on the 28th of May during TCON. I believe all the Ugandans are informed. All right, there's a question there. Over to you, William.
There's a question from Rahab. What has been the highlight of your Toastmasters journey?
All right, thank you so much, Rahab. That's an interesting question. It's hard to pick an experience when most of it is what you've enjoyed. I think it still has to be TCON has been the highlight of my Toastmaster journey, because as I mentioned before, coming together with Toastmasters from all over East Africa, especially when it was the physical session, but also online, it is such an eye-opening experience. As I mentioned in the beginning of the YALI experience, where you feel like most of your experiences are your own, most of the things that you're going through it's just you going through those things. Getting that opportunity to interact with Toastmasters, to listen to their journey, to form friendships that last beyond even the Toastmaster platform is always a great opportunity. And TCon is an amazing opportunity for us to do that. You know, we actually get to relax. Usually people take time off work and school, whatever, to come and to have that interaction. So for me, the highlight of my Toastmaster journey actually is the experience I just shared with you earlier. Although I had been disqualified, the reaction that I got from the audience was one that I will never forget. And so being on that TCon platform, being able to connect is always one of the best highlights of the Toastmaster journey. Thank you.
We have another question from the TCon convener, Stephen Maina. Why should I stick at Toastmasters after becoming a DTM?
Okay. So 2 things. First of all, you're not as great as you think you are. I'm going to say this in the nicest way possible. We think that once we become a DTM, and it's in Toastmasters, which is a platform that emphasizes public speaking and communication skills, we feel like we've really excelled and mastered and really pushed the limits to our public speaking and communication skills. Wrong. Try yourself in another platform. Have you seen yourself in a platform outside of this? And do you really believe that you have excelled on all of the skills that you have listed? That perhaps at the beginning of the journey, you said, I want to improve on these skills. Perhaps you have improved on them greatly, but have you really excelled on them? Have you really mastered them? There's so much more. As I mentioned, DTM is a journey. We follow the curriculum and everything, and then you earn that title. There's more to do. There's really more to do. To excel, to become, a master, a true master. And so, trust me, get a reality check. Check yourself in other platforms so that you can really challenge yourself and do better. Secondly, you have an obligation to mentor. You have an obligation to give back. As a DTM at this stage of your journey, there's so many people who are waiting and checking all those footsteps that you have taken to get where you are today. And so you have a really, really big responsibility. As I mentioned, here in Ethiopia, the Toastmaster community is such a young community. And because they are young, they're starting out in their careers. They're still figuring out what career path to choose from. They want to excel in their jobs, in their personal lives. We can contribute a lot to that through their Toastmaster journey. So you, first of all, do a reality check. We could always, always, always do better. Really, we need to humble ourselves. Secondly, we have to give back. We have to mentor. And this is something I have to tell myself, because even I have to go back now to my Jupiter Toastmaster Club and do more one-on-one mentoring with new Toastmasters. So that's why you should stick around as a DTM. We need you.
Yes. Mentorship and humility. Stephen, you can raise the polls as we take on the next questions. We have another question from Agumuyes here. Would you tell us who was your role model to take part in Toastmasters? Who inspired you to join Toastmasters?
Yosef Fantu, and I don't think he even knows this. And I actually wrote an article about it and I mentioned him. Yosef Fantu, I don't know if you know him. He's also a member of Jupiter Toastmasters. And he is one of the most animated speakers you'll ever see in your life. The problem with Yosef is that, and it's not a problem, but this screen limits Yosef. He'll jump out of the screen. Like his body language, the way he expresses and delivers speeches is so powerful and so memorable. And I remember one session that I attended, I think it was one of the first Toastmasters sessions that I attended. He was delivering a speech about his wife. And I, as a female, and I was young at that time, so obviously I wasn't married, still not married, but he was talking about his wife in the most beautiful way. Ladies, ever spoken about you in this way if you are married. His expressions, the way in which his emotions were delivered through his body language, through his vocal variety, it was mastery. It was beautiful. It was something out to this day, 7 years later, I will never forget. He's forgotten it. I still remember. I still remind him. And I remember looking at the audience while he was delivering a speech, and they were so engaged. So was I. I don't even know how I looked away. They were so engaged. They were afraid to look away, even for a second, because they thought they were going to miss something. And the ability to impact people in that way, because you have, mastered your public speaking communication skills, that stuck with me. It really stuck with me. And ever since, that was what really inspired me to join Toastmasters in general.
Truly, truly, 7 years later, we can see that is evident in you. You're as animated, and I think also to some extent, the screen doesn't accommodate you as well.
Yeah.
Okay, Stephen Maina is welcoming Yosef Fatu to the next men's conference. We have another question from Ali Makori. What's the secret to staying the course and lasting long as a Toastmaster, seeing that many often drop out after a couple of years?
Yeah. Toastmasters is a commitment, in that we're not paid to be Toastmasters, at least not in a monetary sense. When you commit to Toastmasters and you're clear about the improvements that you really want to make, and when you see yourself actually making those changes, it's hard to stop. I actually describe it as a drug. It's addictive. Because at some point, at first you were nervous to deliver speeches. At first it was really nerve-wracking for you to be in front of an audience. Then after a few sessions, preparing a speech becomes easy. Standing in front of people, speaking your mind, it becomes so easy. And then when you see that change in yourself, how can you not stick around? You're seeing it actually happening within you. So don't wait for somebody to convince you to stay at Toastmaster or convince you of the benefits. Be aware of the impact that it really has on you. And the more you commit to it, the more you give to it, the more it has to give to you. Toastmasters is a transformative platform. It really is, but it depends on you. I'm seeing the red card, and I really want to respect the time of the session and the organizers. Alex, thank you so much for your service this evening. Back to you, William.
Thank you, Ethiopis. Moving from 3 months to prepare for speech to maybe 5 minutes or just a day to prepare for speech. Stick around and enjoy the value from Toastmasters. Thank you all, 85 of you, for joining the session. We had awesome interviewers, Diane and Aritha Wanjiru, and we thank you for the interviewee for gracing us, Ethiopis. We'd like to welcome you to TCon 2022, starting on Friday to Sunday. Hope to see you all. Thank you for being with us from the start at 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. We look forward to having you at TCon. Have a blessed night, all. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Ethiopis. Mwah. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you so much for having me. Good night, everyone.
Good night. See you at TCon.
See you at TCon. SA, you can, put some music.
Yeah, that Ethiopian music you had put before.
Yes. Anyone from Ethiopia on the call can say something.
Yeah.
Hannah, are you there? Ida, Eddie Ida.
Steve, as you end the recording, then guys can talk.
Oh, there you go.
Hey.